Successful people aren't different from unsuccessful people in the grand scheme of things. What makes them different is one simple thing: their habits. And today I want to talk about the one habit, the one thing that's blocking your path to success more than anything else. You know what fascinates me? How we humans can know exactly what we need to do, yet we keep doing what we've always done. Isn't that interesting? We read the books, attend the seminars, buy the courses, but something keeps holding us back. Let me tell you what that something is. It's excuses. That's right. The habit of making excuses is the number one thing blocking your success right now. And it's not just any excuse. It's the sophisticated ones we tell ourselves that sound so reasonable, so logical. You see, poor people have poor ways of thinking, and rich people have rich ways of thinking. But here's what's fascinating: both think they're right. The poor person has a million reasons why things won't work, and the rich person has a million reasons why they will. Let me share something profound with you. In my years of studying successful people, I've noticed they have this remarkable ability to face reality head on. They don't sugarcoat things. They don't make excuses. They look at things exactly as they are. Not worse than they are. Not better than they are, but exactly as they are. Now let's talk about these excuses we make. I don't have enough time. How many of you have used that one? Let me tell you something. We all have the same 24 hours. Every single day, God gives us this gift of 24 hours. The question isn't about having time. It's about what you do with the time you have. You know what's interesting? When something is truly important to us, we find the time. If your child gets sick at 2 a.m., you don't say, "I don't have time right now." You make the time because it matters. Success works the same way. Here's another sophisticated excuse: "I'm waiting for the right moment." Oh, this is a clever one. It sounds so responsible, doesn't it? But let me tell you something. There's never a perfect moment. Success is not about timing. It's about taking action. I remember talking to a young man who told me he was waiting for the economy to improve before starting his business. I asked him, "Did you know that some of the most successful companies today were started during recessions? Microsoft, Disney, General Electric, all started during economic downturns." You see, while you're waiting for the perfect moment, someone else is out there making things happen. While you're waiting for the stars to align, someone else is reaching up and rearranging those stars themselves. Let me share another sophisticated excuse: "I need more education first." Now, don't get me wrong, education is vital. I'm all for education, but some people use education as a way to postpone action. They're always preparing, always getting ready to get ready. You know what's fascinating? Most successful entrepreneurs didn't wait until they had all the knowledge. They started with what they had and learned along the way. They understood that experience is the best teacher. Here's what I want you to understand: success leaves clues. And one of the biggest clues is that successful people take action while others are making excuses. They don't wait until all conditions are perfect. They start with whatever they have, wherever they are. Let me tell you about this interesting conversation I had with a successful businessman. He told me, "Jim, when I started, I didn't know half of what I know now. If I had waited until I knew everything, I'd still be waiting." You see, life has a wonderful way of educating us through experience. But you've got to be in the game to learn the game. You can't learn to swim from the sidelines. Now, here's another sophisticated excuse: "I don't have enough money." Oh, this is a popular one. But let me ask you something. How many successful businesses started with millions in the bank? Very few. Most started small, in garages, basements, and tiny offices. What fascinates me is how we use lack of money as an excuse, yet we find money for other things. Isn't it interesting how we can find money for what we truly value? When something matters enough, we find a way. Here's what successful people understand: it's not about resources, it's about resourcefulness. They don't focus on what they don't have. They maximize what they do have. They understand that creativity can compensate for lack of capital. Let me tell you about another sophisticated excuse that's blocking your path: "I'm not lucky enough." Now, isn't that interesting? People look at successful individuals and say they just got lucky. But let me share something with you. Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. You see, I've studied successful people for decades, and here's what fascinates me: they create their own luck. While others are waiting for luck to strike, successful people are out there creating opportunities, meeting people, learning new skills, trying new things. Here's what's profound. Success is not a matter of chance, it's a matter of choice. Every day, you're either moving towards success or away from it. Every excuse you make is a choice to move away from success. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how some people can turn any situation into an opportunity, while others can turn any opportunity into a problem? That's not luck, that's perspective. That's choice. You know what's interesting about excuses? They come with a price tag, but we rarely look at the price. We're so busy justifying our excuses that we don't stop to calculate their cost. Let me tell you, excuses are expensive. They cost you your dreams, your potential, your future. Here's another sophisticated excuse. I'm too old or I'm too young. Isn't it fascinating how age becomes whatever we need it to be to justify our inaction? When we're young, we say we need more experience. When we're older, we say we missed our chance. But let me share something with you. Colonel Sanders started Kentucky Fried Chicken at 65. Ray Kroc started McDonald's at 52. Mark Zuckerberg started Facebook at 19. Age is just a number, but excuses are a choice. You see, success doesn't know age. Success doesn't check your birth certificate. Success only knows effort, persistence, and determination. Success only cares about what you're willing to do today, right now, in this moment. Here's another excuse that fascinates me. I don't have the right connections. People look at successful individuals and say, well, they knew the right people. But here's what's interesting. Most successful people didn't start with connections. They built them. Let me tell you something profound. Every person you admire, every successful individual you look up to, started exactly where you are. The difference is they decided to stop making excuses and start making progress. You know what's interesting about networking? It's not about who you know, it's about who you become. When you focus on personal development, when you work on becoming valuable, people naturally want to connect with you. Here's another sophisticated excuse. What if I fail? Oh, this is a big one. But let me ask you something. What if you succeed? Isn't it interesting how we can spend so much time imagining failure that we forget to imagine success? You see, failure isn't final unless you make it final. Every successful person I've studied has failed multiple times. But here's what makes them different. They use failure as feedback, not as an excuse to quit. Let me share something powerful with you. Success is not about avoiding failure. Success is about failing forward, learning, growing, and keeping your dream alive. The only real failure is the failure to try. Here's another excuse that blocks success. I'm not talented enough. But let me tell you something fascinating. Talent is overrated. What matters more than talent is effort, persistence, and the willingness to learn. You see, I've studied talented people who achieve nothing and average people who achieve greatness. The difference wasn't in their natural abilities, it was in their dedication to growth and their refusal to make excuses. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how some of the most successful people weren't the most talented? They simply worked harder, stayed longer, and refused to make excuses while others gave up. Here's what's profound. Success is not about what you're born with. It's about what you do with what you've got. It's not about having no limitations. It's about refusing to let your limitations become excuses. Let me tell you about another excuse that's particularly dangerous because it sounds so reasonable. I'm just being realistic. Now, isn't that interesting? We use realism as an excuse to stay in our comfort zone. But let me ask you something. Was it realistic to think we could fly? Was it realistic to think we could instantly communicate with someone on the other side of the world? You see, all great achievements started as unrealistic dreams. The Wright brothers weren't being realistic. Thomas Edison wasn't being realistic. Steve Jobs wasn't being realistic. They were being visionary. And that's what separated them from the masses. Here's what fascinates me. We use realism to justify mediocrity. We say, let's be realistic, when what we really mean is, let's be average. But average is just as close to the bottom as it is to the top. Is that what you want for your life? Let me share something profound with you. Your life will never be better than your expectations. If you expect little, you'll get little. If you expect nothing, that's exactly what you'll get. Your expectations set the boundaries of your achievement. You know what's interesting about successful people? They have unrealistic expectations. They believe they can do things that others say are impossible. And here's the fascinating part, because they believe it, they act on it. And because they act on it, they achieve it. Here's another sophisticated excuse: I'm not ready yet. Oh, this is a clever one. It sounds responsible, doesn't it? But let me tell you something, you'll never be completely ready. Success is not about being ready, it's about being willing to start before you're ready. You see, readiness is a myth. It's an excuse disguised as preparation. The truth is, you learn to do something by doing it, not by getting ready to do it. You learn to run a business by running a business, not by eternally preparing to run a business. Let me share something with you that might shock you. Most successful people weren't ready when they started. They were scared, uncertain, and doubted themselves. But here's what made them different. They started anyway. Here's another excuse that blocks success: I don't feel motivated. Now, isn't that interesting? People wait for motivation like they wait for inspiration. But here's what successful people understand: motivation doesn't come first, action comes first. You see, motivation is not something that happens to you, it's something you create through action. It's like starting a car on a cold morning. You don't wait for the engine to warm up before you start it, you start it to warm it up. Let me tell you something fascinating. Successful people don't wait until they feel like doing something. They do it because it needs to be done. They understand that feelings follow action, not the other way around. Here's another sophisticated excuse: I need to find my passion first. Oh, this is a popular one in our culture. But let me ask you something. How many successful people do you think knew their passion before they started? You see, passion isn't something you find, it's something you develop. It grows from commitment, from mastery, from seeing the results of your effort. It's not a prerequisite for success. It's a result of pursuing success. Let me share something powerful with you. While you're trying to find your passion, someone else is out there creating their success. While you're waiting for inspiration, someone else is perspiring. While you're looking for the perfect path, someone else is blazing their own trail. Here's another excuse that fascinates me: I don't have the right personality. People look at successful individuals and say, well, they're naturally outgoing or they're naturally confident. But here's what's interesting: success doesn't require a specific personality type. You see, I've studied introverts who built empires and extroverts who achieved nothing. I've seen quiet leaders and loud followers. Success doesn't care about your personality, it cares about your persistence. Let me share with you another sophisticated excuse that's holding you back: I'm just not lucky enough to be in the right place at the right time. Now, isn't that fascinating? People look at successful individuals and attribute their success to timing. But let me tell you something, timing isn't about luck, it's about preparation meeting opportunity. You see, while others are waiting for the right time, successful people are preparing for their moment. They understand that success is not about waiting for the perfect conditions. It's about creating conditions that work in your favor. Here's what's profound: everyday opportunities are passing by. The question isn't whether opportunities exist. The question is whether you're prepared to recognize and seize them. While others are making excuses about timing, successful people are timing their moves. Let me tell you about another excuse that sounds particularly noble: I'm putting my family first. Now, don't misunderstand me, family is crucial. But here's what's interesting: we often use our families as an excuse not to pursue success, when in reality, pursuing success could be the best thing we do for our families. You see, your success isn't just about you. It's about the example you set, the possibilities you create, the legacy you leave. When you make excuses, you're not just limiting yourself, you're limiting what your family believes is possible. Here's another sophisticated excuse: the competition is too fierce. Oh, this is a clever one. But let me ask you something: when has lack of competition ever been a prerequisite for success? Isn't it interesting how we use competition as an excuse not to compete? You see, successful people don't focus on the competition, they focus on creation. They understand that there's always room at the top. While others are complaining about competition, they're busy creating value that makes them stand out. Let me share something fascinating with you. The presence of competition is often a sign of opportunity. It means there's a market, there's demand, there's potential. The question isn't whether there's competition. The question is what unique value you can bring. Here's another excuse that blocks success: I don't want to risk what I have. Now, isn't that interesting? We're so afraid of losing what we have that we never gain what we could have. We're so focused on protecting our current position that we never reach our potential position. You see, every significant achievement requires risk. Every meaningful advancement demands that we step out of our comfort zone. While others are playing it safe, successful people are taking calculated risks. Let me tell you something profound. The biggest risk in life isn't taking a risk, it's taking no risk at all. It's staying exactly where you are, doing exactly what you're doing, being exactly who you've always been. Here's another sophisticated excuse: I need to wait for the perfect plan. Oh, this is a dangerous one. It sounds so responsible, doesn't it? But here's what successful people understand: no plan survives first contact with reality. The key isn't to have a perfect plan, it's to have a plan that you can perfect as you go. You see, while others are perfecting their plans, successful people are perfecting their execution. They understand that a good plan executed today is better than a perfect plan executed someday. Let me share something powerful with you. Success is not about having all the answers before you start. It's about starting before you have all the answers and figuring things out along the way. It's about being willing to adjust, adapt, and improve as you go. Here's another excuse that fascinates me: I don't have the right personality type for success. People look at successful individuals and say, well, they're naturally confident or they're born leaders. But here's what's interesting: success doesn't require a specific personality type, it requires specific actions. Let me tell you about another excuse that's particularly deceptive. I'll start tomorrow. Now, isn't that interesting? Tomorrow becomes next week becomes next month, and before you know it, years have passed. But here's what successful people understand: tomorrow's a concept, today is real. You see, life is nothing but a collection of todays. When you say you'll start tomorrow, you're really saying you're choosing failure today. And that's what fascinates me, how we can be so casual about throwing away today while assuming tomorrow is guaranteed. Here's what's profound: success is built on the small decisions we make every single day. It's not about making one big decision, it's about making 1,000 tiny decisions that align with your goals. While others are waiting for tomorrow, successful people are maximizing today. Let me share another sophisticated excuse: I need to feel confident first. Oh, this is a clever one. But let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how confidence comes from doing, not from thinking about doing? Isn't it interesting how we wait to feel confident before taking action, when action is what creates confidence? You see, successful people understand that confidence is not a prerequisite for action, it's a result of action. They don't wait until they feel confident, they act their way into confidence. While others are waiting to feel ready, they're getting ready by doing. Here's another excuse that blocks success: it's too late to start. Now, this is fascinating. People look at their age, their situation, their past failures, and they use these as reasons why it's too late. But let me tell you something: it's only too late if you decide it's too late. You see, I've studied success stories across different ages and backgrounds, and here's what's interesting: many people achieve their greatest success after what others would consider too late. While others are using age as an excuse, successful people are using experience as an advantage. Let me share something powerful with you. Your past is not your future unless you choose to live there. Your age is not your destiny unless you make it your destiny. The only time it's truly too late is when you decide to stop trying. Here's another sophisticated excuse: I don't want to fail in front of others. Oh, this is a big one. We're so concerned about what others might think that we never give ourselves a chance to succeed. Isn't that interesting? We choose certain failure through inaction over potential failure through action. You see, successful people understand that failure is not the opposite of success, it's part of success. They know that every person who has achieved anything meaningful has failed multiple times along the way. While others are avoiding failure, they're using failure as feedback. Let me tell you something fascinating. Most people overestimate what others think about their failures and underestimate what others think about their successes. While you're worried about failing in front of others, most people are too busy worrying about their own lives to notice. Here's another excuse that blocks success: I need to wait for someone to give me permission. Now, isn't that interesting? We wait for someone to tell us it's okay to pursue our dreams, to start our business, to change our lives. But here's what successful people understand: success doesn't ask for permission. You see, while others are waiting for permission, successful people are granting themselves permission. They understand that the only permission they need is their own. They don't wait for someone to discover them, they discover themselves. Let me tell you about another profound excuse I've tried before and it didn't work. Now, isn't that interesting? We try something once or twice, and when it doesn't work, we use that as evidence that it will never work. But let me ask you something. How many times did Thomas Edison fail before he succeeded? How many rejections did Colonel Sanders face before KFC became successful? You see, success is not about trying once, it's about persisting until you succeed. While others use past failures as excuses to stop trying, successful people use them as lessons to try differently. Here's what fascinates me. Every successful person has a history of failures. But here's the difference. They didn't let their failures become their identity. They understood that failing at something doesn't make you a failure. It makes you experienced. Let me share another sophisticated excuse. I don't have the right connections. People look at successful individuals and say, well, they knew the right people. But here's what's interesting. Most successful people didn't start with connections. They built them through their actions and attitude. You see, while others are waiting for opportunities to come to them, successful people are creating opportunities through their efforts. They understand that connections aren't inherited, they're earned. Here's the final and perhaps most dangerous excuse: I deserve better than this. Now, this is fascinating because it sounds like a positive affirmation, doesn't it? But let me tell you something. Deserving success and achieving success are two different things. You see, success doesn't care what you deserve, it only cares what you do. While others are complaining about what they deserve, successful people are focused on what they can earn through their efforts. Let me leave you with this final thought. The quality of your life will be determined by the quality of your excuses. If you want to change your life, start by changing your excuses into actions. You see, success is not complicated, but it is difficult. It's difficult because it requires us to face our excuses, to acknowledge them for what they are, choices we make to stay exactly where we are. The choice is yours. You can continue making excuses and your life will continue exactly as it is. Or you can decide right here, right now, that you're done with excuses. That from this moment forward, you'll replace every excuse with action. Remember this, success is not an accident. It's not a matter of luck. It's not about who you know or where you came from. Success is a choice to stop making excuses and start making progress. The time for excuses is over. The time for action is now. Your future is waiting, but it won't wait forever. The question isn't whether you can succeed. The question is whether you'll give yourself permission to succeed. So what's it going to be? Will you continue making excuses, or will you start making progress? Will you choose comfort, or will you choose growth? Will you settle for less than what you're capable of, or will you push yourself to become all that you can be? The choice is yours, but remember this: while you're making excuses, someone else is making progress. While you're explaining why you can't, someone else is proving that they can. While you're waiting for the perfect moment, someone else is creating their perfect future. Your life will never be better than your excuses allow it to be. When you drop your excuses, you open the door to your potential. When you replace your excuses with action, you transform your dreams into reality. The time has come to stop doing the one thing that's blocking your success, making excuses. Your future is waiting. What are you going to do about it? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Make today the day you stop making excuses and start making progress. Your success is waiting on the other side of your excuses. Go get it. Remember, life will pay whatever price you have the courage to ask of it. Stop asking for less by making excuses and start asking for more by taking action. The world is waiting for your contribution, your success, your achievement. The question isn't whether you can. The question is whether you will, and that decision begins right here, right now, with letting go of it, not excuses, and embracing action. Your time is now. Make it count.